Welcome to DT Madness, Chronicles from the Third Life, episode 117, December 27th, 2024. So glad you could make it. We'll just settle on in here for just a few minutes. Early edition podcast, DT Madness, as today is packing day and hoping my flight doesn't get delayed due to weather day. Headed up to New York. If all things hold according to plan, then flight leaves. We'll be landing sometime around 24 hours from now. So flying into Jersey, into Newark, and out of Charlotte at a little after 7. And so it's the first flight out. Our ship comes in from Mexico City actually tonight. So the ship that we get to fly in should be there. So as long as all the heavy rain and all that kind of stuff doesn't come in too early, then I think we should be right. I'm a lot of hope there. I guess I don't really know much about weather patterns and flying in the rain. I am flying in row 19, which is going to be a stretch, but my buddy is going with me, my good friend from a long time. And 25 years ago, man, 25 years ago, we were headed down to Big Cypress Seminole Indian Reservation for New Year's fish. And so here we are again, heading back up to the greatest arena, world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. So working on all that, trying to just take one bag, like not even a stowaway. I really just want to take the bag that I'm going to put under my seat. I don't think I'll need that many clothes except for the rain. The rain is going to be the question. Like, what if my shoes get wet? Do I need to have 2 pairs of shoes just in case? And so those are all going to be the things, because I know how it is I have to watch the regular people as they board the plane, and as we get ready. A lot of the times the people at the back have to check their carry-on, and I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to have to worry about checking bags. You don't have to worry about that in first class. And so but it's too much to upgrade this time around. So today I'll be all giddy. Hopefully I can sleep, but it'll be an early morning, probably a 4 a.m. start to get on up and ready and head towards the airport and get checked in and all that. And then hopefully be able to rest and relax. Sunday will be another doozy of a day, but honestly, like 72 hours from about right now, which is 9:12 a.m. on a Friday morning, I'll hopefully be back here in the Nook, or maybe close to it in my bed. So very excited about heading up. So yeah, we'll see how all that goes. I want to go ahead and get the podcast in the can for this week, and then certainly next week, which will be the first of 2025. Then you'll likely hear the updates from however the trip ends up going. But I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas time and holidays with your folks and all that kind of stuff. I am always glad when it's over. That is my Boxing Day is my favorite day of the year. Is a little more than a joke. It's just the chaos and the madness and all that kind of stuff. I don't. Yeah, it's not for me. It's not for me. But I'm glad when we have our time, and this time we've been really flexible. Like, our family is really flexible. Our 5 about how we celebrate. We didn't establish. We've done it 2 days before Christmas before. We've done it the night before Christmas. We've done it the morning of Christmas Eve. We've done it on Christmas Day. And so we're always really flexible with our 5, trying to adjust and accommodate to the other families. But more and more, I realize that I want to protect the peace of my 5. So, but what we did was Christmas morning, we had our our deal here, and Sam was asleep on the air mattress. We got like a for real Lexus air mattress, like it's a it's a huge air mattress, and so he sleeps there because Isaac has pretty much taken over the room they used to share since Sam isn't home very much, and so he was still asleep at 9:30 when we had planned to begin, and so Isaac just turned the pump on to deflate the thing with him on it, and so that was a perfect. It really was like it was the perfect way to start the morning, and then we did all the things, and then it was my turn for my presentation, and I invited him to join me in a narrated recital of my yoga stretch practice that I do each morning because I wanted them to understand, I wanted them to understand how um, the ways that I think and the ways that I practice. I, I'm, I told them like I'm increasingly ready. I'm increasingly motivated. I don't know what the word is, but my dissent for the way that the church practices the church carries out its practice, and I mean that in the terms of the masses of people who um, it doesn't seem that are following the way of the Christ. Just doesn't seem that way to me, and that includes family and friends. That includes a lot of different kinds of people, and I'm more and more willing to say that. But I did want them to understand, like I'm coming at this from a place of deep practice, of deep spiritual practice. I know the word. I do. I know it, and yeah, that sounds a little bit too much. I've spent a lot of time, as Jason Isbell says. I read the good book and I've studied it too. But anyway, I led them through my stretches and really just to let them see into my own life, into my own inner thoughts, but also because there are parts of it, like the reason why I began those stretches in the first place was because one time my dad had fallen off the couch and couldn't get up after a round with chemotherapy, and I went over there to help him get up and thought that I was just going to be able to scoop him up, and when I did, I popped my back and like just I mean you could just hear it, and it was hurt for many months. I don't feel the tweaks of it much. I think in large part because I do these stretches, which is why I started doing them in in the first place. So I told him, all about that. I told him about uh, the way that I breathe in 3 times after my stretches are done, and I breathe in Samuel, Sydney, and Isaac, and I think about them, and that is my deep prayer and hope for them. My visualization of their day, of their whatever it is, that I breathe in deeply Yahweh, Christos, and Ruah, and then I smile as I breathe out the Spirit. Um, that I put my hand on my gut and my other hand facing outward to remind my body that their struggles and anxieties are not mine, and vice versa. That I wrap my arms around the invisible many parts of myself and pull them in and give them a firm hug to remind myself to value all of me. and and yeah, like my different poses and of surrender. I told them that I often end up with or begin with a reading like from Thich Nhat Hanh that says there is a Buddhist teaching that might seem strange. This is a teaching of aimlessness, which means not setting an object or goal in front of you and running after it, which is what everybody does. We want this, we want that. And as long as we haven't got it, we think happiness will be impossible. But he says we should bring a revolution in our thinking. We must stop and do as the flower does. The flower, aware of the fact that it contains everything within it, the whole cosmos, and it does not try to become something else. The same for you. You have God within you, so you do not need or have to look for God or Mary Oliver or Richard Rohr or whatever, And so I told him all that, and then we went through that practice together, and then I had him draw for spots. Sydney drew. I had written out alpha, beta, and gamma because they're chemistry nerds, and um, anyway, because they're nerds. and they're really super smart. And Sydney, fortunately, I think, drew the alpha, which she reminded her brothers often during this process that she was the alpha. But I had framed in like a shadow box her tennis uniform because I told her, tennis had made her in a lot of ways, like Coach Peeler and the heat and the newness and enormity of it all, the sweat and the blood and the tears, the relentless practice and work ethic, both mentally and physically, bucket after bucket, listening and soaking up what Coach had told her. That tennis was a huge part of our family and that I'm grateful for that, and that it had provided her with a foundation for success. Yes, but not just as the world defines it, true success. But I also told her that it was real that she left an impact on tennis. The game is better because of her. Her determination and grit and grace, the gifts that she gave on the courts will ripple like waves for generations. And that's the truth. And then I'd given her the shadow box with her uniform pinned up in it. And as well, I'd given her a Band-Aid with some vanilla flavoring because, no joke, at one point during the season, she went up for a serve. And as she did, a bee stung her right on the butt, like in mid serve. It was, yeah, that was something. I believe Sam was second. He drew the beta. I had talked about his passion and compassion, which is evident in so many things. The way that he leaves no crumb on the stage when he gets to perform, he eats it all up. The bright intensity with which he honors his friends, the giggle of his that displays pure joy, the understanding and seeking that he imparts in the search for great music. But I told him as he opened his present that disc golf was a great exemplar of how passionate he is. And I'd given him some socks, and the socks say no little balls, referencing golf balls. It has a disc golf cage on the socks. It says no little balls, only big discs. So that was a fun one. And then I'd given him a pin to put on his disc golf bag, which was Mario, Super Mario, throwing a turtle shell actually into a disc golf cage. And that also references his time growing up and playing Super Nintendo with his pop, with my dad. And then I'd given him he's got one more semester left, and then he'll do his student teaching. Um, is the plan, and so I'd given him a set of a coffee mug that says before school and a wine glass because he'll turns 21 on January 1st, and so a wine glass which says for after school. And I told him as he begins teaching, especially as he begins teaching, that he will understand. Um, Isaac, when Isaac was in elementary school, um, his friends called him the Monkey King, and he had all his friends that would protect all whatever fictional bananas and all this kind of stuff that they'd come up with, and so that name, the Monkey King, has kind of stuck with him. And I was trying to look that up, and as I looked it up, I found that the Monkey King is a real literary person that's named Sun Wukong, who has supernatural strength, um, can run with the speed of a meteor, vast memorization skills. He's the king of the monkeys. He has acquired 72 earthly transformations. Skilled fighter, magical properties. His hair is magical. All these types of things. And so I read all that out. I talked about how his name also is a reference to a person who scribbled out, "I died with my face to the enemy," but I couldn't quite find what I was looking for with that. And so I got him a miniature statue of Sun Wukong in meditative mode, and also a tin, TIN, to like a poster, that to hang up on his wall to remind him that he is the Monkey King. Because I'm proud of the way he leads his squad. He doesn't do it. He's unassuming. He's humble. He's kind. He doesn't hesitate to lend a hand. He isn't. He doesn't proclaim himself the leader, which I told him was a great testament to him. He doesn't seek credit. In fact, if anything, he deflects it. Stupid people, I said, would say he is destined for great things, but that's stupid because he already resides in that grand station. Your efforts to face down the enemies that confront you are monumental. I told him to keep doing the Dougie and the Soldier Boy, all the while untangling the mysteries of the universe and the simplicity of existence. And then I told him in reference to last week that the name I want to carry into 2025 is Ferocious Grace. I talked about how they face the ghosts of the mountains. They've cried out across valleys in despair and desperation. They've navigated the stormy seas of friendships and the increasing ridiculous enormity that grows, that grown people, the ridiculous enormity that grown people place on the performance and decisions of young people. It's fundamentally flawed. They've stepped their toes in the waters of the collective. They've resisted the conformity of adolescence and stood tall. Um, they've offered a wild and savage response in the face of it all. They're ferocious. They've roared with grace. They haven't bought into the dismissive nature of society or religion. They don't build walls or draw lines in the sand. They are who they are without apology. And they're a light. And then I told them about sitting on my rock and envisioning going into the boat, and I gave them all into the storm, and I gave them all the boat and told them that I hope they reside in the vine, in the source, because we will surely face trials. You know, college choices and student teaching and careers and becoming an upperclassman, and certainly we will face sickness and heartache along the way. And I told them I'd always been too quick to attempt to protect them from feeling the sadness, because it's what many of the parts of me have worked so hard to protect me from. But I'm different now after my therapy at Lotus, and in large part because I've worked to embrace the sadness. I don't want it. It's a gut punch. It's a breath taker. It's a gut clencher. It's part of who we are, though. And it's a part of the source. So I gave them each a little tiny boat and told them that I'm glad they were in my boat. And that certainly there will be sparkly waters and good times along the way as well. Um, and I wrote a poem about my dad, but I don't think I will share that one quite yet. That went longer than I thought. I'm really just winging it here today because I wanted to go ahead and get this one in before the trip. But then our kids gave us a present, one for me and Sarah both at the same time, and it was wrapped in a bag, and we pulled out all the tissues, and then it was inside of a tissue box, and then it was inside of an Apple Jacks box, and like I knew it was going to be heartfelt because I know my kids, and I know who they are, and then it was a bunch of tissues, and the final tissues were really damp and moist, and I was like, eesh. And then we opened it up, and it was a piece of deli turkey, a piece of deli turkey. Um, so they got us pretty good on that one, but then Sydney sat us down, and I just forgive me, I'm going to read it, and then I might narrate some of it, but she wrote that she wrote and read, "Remember when we couldn't sleep and Mama used to ask us for a friend we wanted to take along to a place of our choosing, and then cultivate an entire story weaving our contradictory answers together like the softest blanket you've ever felt? Remember when Daddy would take you somewhere in the truck by yourself and snacking on the bag of sunflower seeds that was always in there while getting to crank those windows down made you feel like you could swim across the entire ocean? Remember when they would stand up together and offer the body and blood of Christ to the college kids they ministered to and the families they served through every aspect of their existence? Because I will never forget. It's such a strange feeling, like the morning fog lifting. You don't notice it's leaving until it's gone. There's a utopian connotation that surrounds childhood, almost like it's wrapped up in a fleece blanket made of fairy tales. As you age, you are often told to never let it go, to keep close the moments of blowing bubbles in the driveway, or eating blueberries straight off the bush in the backyard, or holding on to your brothers for dear life because the time you spend in the house together is short. It's a bittersweet experience growing up, but it has become my favorite in all of the world. As I've gotten older, I only understand more how much I don't. The low-hanging clouds are beginning to dissipate, and for whatever reason, nothing is becoming clearer. But there's always an exception, of course, and in this scenario, it is the realization that luck had nothing to do with our family. Our God knew that we needed you to guide us through this life. What a blessing it is to be a Thomas and to share the love that comes along with that. What a damn blessing. Getting to tag along on other people's journeys has created a sense of awareness in us that we are beyond fortunate to have such a strong foundation. We don't say it enough, likely in part because it feels as though it isn't enough because what you've given us is worth so much more than 2 words, but thank you. Thank you for being quick to celebrate us and quicker to grieve with us. For all the last minute projects we needed help with, mostly the boys on the last minute part. For the sauces strained and the all-time best quesadillas and the bowls of ice cream while watching iCarly. For teaching us about real music and sharing playlists and songs that make you think about us. For the endless trips to Dobbinsville during COVID times and the notes in my mailbox that I will keep forever. For forgiveness and acceptance. For reminding us to be different with familiar grace as we strive to be the best in all that we do. For listening and the meaningful stories or the ones about magical cacao and Kevin's jacket because you know we care to listen. For creating us, for giving us each other, for making us who we are. We've accumulated so many significant parts of our house over the years. The foundation tower of stone, the bucket of life, the wall of belief, just to name a few. Now let us add to the collection with our terrapins, the all-encompassing terrapins. To attempt to describe how much you mean to us and how much we appreciate you, we'd need one of those new Willow computers because it'd take about 7 billion years. To the depths of the unknown in the ocean of sunflower seeds. The explanation behind these creatures holds the same vast substance, but Sam summed it up pretty good. And then Sam took over the read. These turtles are kind. They are strong. They are real. These here terrapins will teach you the importance of caring for another, of treating others with respect and encouragement. From them, we can all learn the importance of authenticity and the courage to be true to ourselves without fear. These terrapins are unlike any other. They are unique and distinctive in their own right. They love the welcoming heat of a good bonfire. Everywhere they go, music seems to follow. Anything from a speaker to a concert to a jingle stuck in their head. They have a unique diet. Some have a very distant dialect, and some are just plain choir, read as my dad would say it. They care to help you learn, but will let you find the solutions yourself. They will assist you as you grow into who you are, the very best version of yourself. When you look back, you'll realize that you only ever became you because of them. I remember who I am because they helped me learn. These terrapins are Thomases. And for that, for all of us, we are forever grateful, no matter what. But it's your existence I love you for mainly. Existence seems to me now the most remarkable thing that could ever be imagined. Surrender to the flow. Remember who you are. 5 strong. Love, Sam, Sid, and Isaac. Well, this has been a Church of Six production brought to you by the Bucket of Life, by the rope of relationship, the foundation tower of stone, the wall of belief, the token of hope, the magic rock times one received and one given, and by the terrapins, the Thomas terrapins, newly added, equally valued. Nothing divine is desperate, and in order to be, try to never seem. May all your circumstances serve to awaken compassion, and as you go, teach peace. Don't forget to believe, y'all, and be live. Grace and peace, my friends.